It was one of those mornings where you know something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. I woke up with a deep chill in my bones, like the cold had crawled inside me. It wasn't the crisp winter air. No, this was different, like creek water cold, the kind that seeps into your skin and refuses to leave. I was face down in a cold stream, 3 inches of runoff water soaking through my jacket. I had no idea how I'd ended up there. My head was spinning as I tried to push myself up, feeling that sharp scrape of rock on my hand. The last thing I remembered was walking out around sunrise, coffee in hand, ready for a quiet morning of reflection. And now? Now, I was soaked, bleeding, and staring up at a locked gate blocking the only road in or out of my property. The gate had been sealed tight, wrapped in industrial steel, cinched with a few heavy-duty locks. It wasn't the kind of thing you'd expect on someone's land, let alone my land. I owned this property for 12 years passed down from my father, and he built that bridge himself. No HOA, no fees, no shared property. So why was it locked? Why was I bleeding? And then I saw it just off the trail, sitting on a rock, sealed in plastic, a clipboard. The plastic was tight, zip-tied around the rock, and when I picked it up, I saw the photos. Aerial shots of my house, my driveway, even my shed, red circles and yellow highlights all over it. It was a notice from the HOA, Lake Haven Hills. Funny thing is, I don't live in Lake Haven Hills. I don't pay their dues. I never signed up for this. But they were telling me my bridge, my private access point, was now in a non-compliant easement pathway. They called it a breach of neighborhood code, and they sent someone to enforce it. I took a step back. A Dranino, not a bird or a plane hovered just above my head, buzzing, red light blinking. Recording. Watching me. I didn't yell, didn't wave. I just walked back to the house. My boots filled with creek water as each step felt heavier than the last. My mind raced. Was I being watched the whole time? My old sergeant's voice echoed in my head, cataloging threats. Unauthorized surveillance. Forced entry. Breach of perimeter. This wasn't just some small-time dispute. This felt like a test, and I had already failed. Back inside, I tried to calm myself. I stripped off my jacket, letting it hang over the radiator to dry, but my hands were shaking not from the cold anymore, but from the feeling creeping up in my gut. The sense that I was surrounded. I checked the windows clear. I checked the motion detectors, and nothing. That's when I realized I had no power. The microwave clock was flashing zeros, the phone line was dead, the internet router blinked red. I was cut off. Someone was isolating me, and they weren't done yet. Then, right on cue, the doorbell rang. Not a knock, but a ring. I grabbed my gun, not out of panic, but out of principle, and walked up to the door. 2 men, matching polos, tactical boots, one carrying a clipboard and the other holding a camera. They introduced themselves as part of the Lake Haven Hills Compliance Steve Weishown. And right then, I knew this was not just about some land dispute. These guys were here for something bigger. They told me that my parcel was now in Zone 19B. It didn't matter that I hadn't signed anything. It didn't matter that I owned this land free and clear. They told me my bridge VY-OLAT shared use statutes, and they needed to inspect my property. I refused. I didn't raise my voice or threaten them. I just stepped forward, and the message was clear: get off my porch. The shorter guy flinched, the taller one smiled, and they backed down. But as they walked away, I saw it. The final insult. They hadn't just locked the bridge. No, they had installed a motion-activated camera under the far rail. They were tracking me, watching me. Inside, I dove into the old records, my father's original deed, his survey maps, everything that proved the land was mine, exempt from any HOA control. That's when it hit me. They weren't just trying to manage a community. They were trying to steal my land. And the game they were playing? I wasn't going to lose. The next morning, the hammering started. No warning, no permission, just 2 men in yellow vests hammering stakes into the ground near my driveway, marking off what they called a bike path expansion. I wasn't Hawaiiing it. I walked out barefoot, mug in hand, the frost still on the grass. I called to them, no response. I asked what they were doing, and the taller guy, smug as ever, said it was part of Phase 2. When I asked if they had permission, he just shrugged. That was it. I told them to get off my property, and they did eventually. But not before they left behind a sign for the Lake Haven Hills multi-use pathway. I wasn't done. I spent the rest of the day gathering everything I could find on them. I built a 46-page countermap, color-coded violations, unlawful expansions, and unfiled construction requests. By the time I was done, it looked like war. I nailed it all to my shed like trophies. But they weren't done either. At 2:41 p.m., I saw the drone again, hovering just above the bridge, closed this time. I waved at it, holding up a sign. Saw you sure this is the hill you want to die on? Saw the drone fled. And then came the letter stuffed under my door. They were fining me for my truck's aggressive lighting. They declared war on my headlights. That's when I started fortifying the bridge. No traps, no weapons, just motion detectors, a thermal cam, a pressure sensor. I wasn't going to let anyone onto my land without knowing about it. By the time they came back with more of their compliance officers, I was ready. 3 of them this time. One with bolt cutters, another with zip ties, and the third filming. I was on the porch before they could reach the gate, shotgun casually cradled across my arms. They paused. I didn't say much, just told them they were trespassing. They left, but the next day, they brought in a van, a portable generator, and a detour sign, temporary closure for structural risk. It wasn't just the bridge they were after. They were trying to break me. I didn't just sit back. I filed a lawsuit for civil harassment and regulatory abuse. I exposed them everything from fake invoices to fabricated signatures. When the media picked up the story, the HOA couldn't hide anymore. And Charlene? She started cracking. The whole neighborhood started talking. People who used to be silent spoke up. The HOA's grip was slipping. But Charlene didn't stop. She sent legal threats, personal attacks, and more bogus claims. But I was ready. Petra, my lawyer, and we kept fighting. Every move she made, we countered. Every document she forged, we exposed. And then the big moment came: the tribunal. Charlene stood there, trying to maintain control, but the evidence against her was overwhelming. I held up the drone footage, the recorded meetings, everything I had. The audience could see of lies, the manipulation, the illegal actions. And then, I pulled out my final ace. I hit the remote, and the bridge's lights turned red. The speakers crackled, and my pre-recorded voice played out. Saw unauthorized entry detected. This bridge is privately owned and protected. Leave now or legal measures will escalate. Saw Charlene flinched. She couldn't hide it anymore. She tried to fight back, but the walls were closing in. The HOA was dead, and Charlene, she was finished. By the time the dust settled, she was gone. Her house, dark. Her car, gone. The HOA website offline. And me? I stood at the edge of my bridge, watching it all fall apart. Now, the neighborhood's different. No more fear of clipboards. No more surveillance. People live freely again. And as for me, I still walk the bridge every day, not out of paranoia, but because it's mine. It's a reminder of what happens when someone pushes too far. Some things deserve to stand. And I wasn't just defending my property, I was defending my right to stand still, to belong, to own something. No one was going to take that from me. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Was I justified in taking a stand? Do you think the HOA was right, or did they overstep their bounds? Let me know in the comments.